I have so much to share with you today. This month with my customers on Zoom, we did the Make a Memory Scrapbooking Kit. So this is a really fun kit because it comes with a good array of papers. It has die cut embellishments, sticker embellishments, and they do give you some ideas in here of how you could possibly put them together for single page layouts. But of course, I went my own way and did some double page layouts. So we actually made 5 double page layouts in my Zoom session, about 2.5 hours. But I still have 3 more double page layouts that are all laid out and like ready to put together. So what I'm going to do today with you guys is make those remaining 3, and then we're going to look at all of them so you could see all the possibilities that could come out of this kit. I was amazed by how many layouts I was able to make for a $49 kit. It has a ton of value. When I'm going to be making layouts live with my customers, what I like to do is kind of pre-prep everything. Everything's cut. I even cut around the sticker sheets and place them, the different stickers, kind of where I think I'm going to want them to go. So I have a pretty good idea of how it's going to come together, and then I can just chat, have a good time, visit, and stick everything together. Now, when I was designing all these layouts, I made a few and then I started kind of running out of ideas. And so I reached for my ever-ready resource, the creative design team's sketchbooks. And so I did pull a few of these layouts from the sketchbooks, and I will just try to mention which books they're from as I put them together and as I show you the completed ones, just in case you have the sketchbooks and you want to make these layouts as well. So this layout in particular is from volume 4, page 20 in the CDT sketchbooks. And I have actually taken a picture. What I like to do is lay my pieces out, take a picture, and then I can come back and put it all together using that picture for reference. It is a little bit longer of a process, but it just helps me to make sure I get things where I want them to go. So this is a fun background because we got lots of different strips, different patterns, and I want to leave about the same amount of space top and bottom. So that's going to kind of be my goal, to leave about 1/2 inch, and these can overlap a little bit, but I'm going to try and make it even left to right and then about 1/2 inch up from the bottom. Now, I don't want to bore you with just adhering things down, so I'm just going to mention like the pertinent things, the kind of important things to note. I am offsetting my strips. You see how they're kind of all staggered? That is on purpose, and I am going to keep that going all the way. I stuck on all those strips. I have my journaling spot, my photos. I did keep the adhesive on the photos more towards the center so that I can stick in all the stickers and things and layer those underneath. I also just gently laid my photos down. I didn't press really hard. I'll do that afterwards, go back and give them a really good press down. But then if I need to adjust these at all, they're easier to lift up. So now comes the embellishing part. And for my title, I was debating trying to add some gray over top, because in all of our embellishments, we have grays, and then I did the photo mats in gray, but I don't have any browns. However, my photos actually have a lot of brown, both from like the woodwork in the photos, and the walls have some brown. There's actually quite a bit of brown in there. And I'm not sure exactly what color I will end up with if I put the gray granite over, this is crumb cake. And I'm a little concerned if I do that it's going to end up a color that I don't like, and then I'll have to come up with a different idea for a title. So I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and leave it this light brown. It's not too bad. I'd prefer it if it was gray, but I think it should end up working out all right. Before I stick on that title, just so that I get better placement, I'm going to go ahead and put on my leaves, because I had some coming out from behind this photo. So we'll go ahead and put those on. Then I also had a little floral cluster here, so I'm just going to add that. I'm going to add that on with dimensionals. I usually keep my pages fairly flat just so that I can fit more in my albums, but I do like adding a little pop-up here and there. Okay, now I have this On This Day little strip, and I think what I'm going to do is just add a little flag here, a little dovetail, and I think that'll look a little bit better so it's not just like a blunt end. Okay, we're just going to keep going with our clusters here. I have another one. This is in a beige color here, and we're going to make these go out this way. All these corners where the photos meet are great opportunities for some extra embellishing. I do have a bunch of extra sprigs here that I have cut out. This one here is from the Pretty Florals set, the die set. And then I also have this one, which I really like. I like to have extras of these cut. That one is from Thankful Garden. And I have them in white. I also have them in green. And I have a bunch of like mixed florals in here. This is how I store my extra pieces. And I find it really handy if I want to, just add to clusters and things. And I'm thinking I might bring in a little bit just to add a little bit more fullness and also some dimension, because these stickers can be a little bit flat. And I just like how that looks. I did this on some of my other layouts as well, just to kind of bulk up the clusters that were already there. It's not a necessary step, but I do like how it looks. Then for my little top cluster here, I have a die cut little flag, another one of those bunches of flowers, and this is the remaining piece from this one over here. And I see I didn't quite get close enough to the edge here, so I'm just going to trim this up a little bit, and then I'm going to flag the end on this as well. This is where it comes in handy to do a little bit of planning ahead of time, because it makes it much easier to build clusters if you kind of have an idea of where you want things to go, and leaving spots with no adhesive so it's easier to tuck underneath. Finished off the embellishing on this side. I had another one of the beige stickers, yellow sticker, and then a die cut, and my little grouping here. I did add on some rhinestone sparkles just to add a little extra something. We have a lot of really light and kind of pastel-y sort of colors, which goes great with my photos. We were having a little ice cream party and making little ice cream sundaes with also some scrapbooking afterwards. So it was a really fun little get together, and I thought it went really good with these soft colors. But I thought the extra twinkle of the rhinestones would help add just a little bit of excitement to the page. We have one of the gray leaves here, the peach colored leaves here, and then another die cut. And then here I just stacked these two together and added a couple gems, and that's how it turned out. Very simple, quick to pull together layout when you have everything like cut and ready to go. I like that this design lets you use lots of different papers, or you could use a bunch of strips of very similar papers. It's a great way to use up maybe smaller pieces as well. Just like pages, you only have a few chunks of paper left, and then you can use them up on this page design. For our next layout, I have used Secret Sea cardstock on the dark side as my background. And then I've added just a bunch of strips. This design is based on the CDT Sketchbook 12 by 12 volume 1, page 11. And we have all these strips here. So I just started from the bottom and just stuck them on one after the other. This blue one for some reason was a little uneven. I must have not cut it perfectly straight. So I just overlapped this one slightly over top of it just to make it work out. And then up here as well, I put this one at about a 1/4 inch down from the top, and then just laid this one over top of it. So it ends up looking like 2 1/2-inch strips, which you could definitely do that as well. Now my photos for this one are matted. So we have them matted on white and then on crumb cake cardstock. And I'm just going to play around a little bit with the placement, find exactly where I want them to be. This was another fun outing. We went out for a brunch and got these amazing pancakes and waffles, you know, loaded down with, I think this one was like apple and caramel. It was like the fall version, and then strawberries and chocolate and whipped cream. And oh, it's making me hungry just thinking about it. Now, before I attach these down, I'm going to go around and add some of my embellishments. So I have a journaling spot going over here somewhere. I have a couple of tags that came in this kit, and I'm going to use linen thread to thread these tags. One is just for decoration, and then one is going to be where I put my journaling. Isabella's pretty lucky. She gets to come out on my outings quite a bit. She's like my little sidekick, so she gets to go for the fun brunches and the dinners and things like that a lot of the time. Of course, now with school, I'm sure that will be changing. I'm not sure how far I want this to hang out. I can always trim these too if I have too much thread going on there. Now over here in the corner, I'm trying to use as many of the like stickers and different things as I can. And this is why I wanted to play around with my placement first before I stuck anything down, because I wanted to make sure I had enough room. This is one of the die cuts from the kit. And then another sticker. We'll have that come just kind of up the side of the tag. And then I decided I wanted a little bit fuller of embellishment cluster. This would be totally fine, but I had some extra stamps from the Gallery Bloom set that I just did with my workshop guide this month, and they were already colored. I just didn't end up using them. I think I had done too many, or I had extras in different colors that I didn't end up using. So I pulled this out of my little scrap bin here. That thing comes in so handy. And I'm just going to layer that in to add a little bit more color and a little bit more interest. These are from a retired leaf set from last fall, and they are cut in this pretty paper that has the brown and then the foiled bits on it. So I figured I could also tuck those in because they would match quite nicely. And just with a couple extra pieces, I feel like it really brightens it up, makes it a little bit more interesting. I also have another one of those florals for over here by my journaling. I don't know if I want to put it over top or maybe just like tuck it underneath, something like that. I do have stickers, and once again, the sticker is not the right color. I don't have any Lost Lagoon color on here, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to sponge that one. And then if I put this lighter colored one up here on the dark, I think that will look better. It will pop more, because if I put this on top of here, it's just going to blend right in. So I know I want that up there. So this has to go quite high up on there. And then I do have this die cut left over, but I feel like it doesn't really go super well. This doesn't bother me. You know, she's like coloring and writing and stuff, so I feel like it works. But this one, I just feel like it doesn't really go at all. So I'm going to swap that out for more florals. So I have a couple more of these leaves. So I'll add that. And then I have the big like cluster of roses. I love this one from that same Gallery Blooms. And then another couple of these leaves. I got everything attached so far. I put down everything in this cluster. This is popped up. Everything else is flat. This one is also popped up, this little corner floral piece. And then same thing over here, all the leaves are flat, and then this one is popped up. I think it adds some nice dimension to the clusters. And now I want to color my title. I just started with a little bit of the pretty peacock, and I think this is gonna look really good and pop out against this page a little bit better. So I have my pretty peacock ink. I have a little ink blending tool. I know I have fingertip daubers somewhere, but I couldn't tell you right now where they are. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this tool. Try to keep my ink on the scrap part of this paper and not get it everywhere. That is the trick. And basically I want to give this like a solid, even coat. Okay, I got my title stuck down. There you can see the lighter part on the darker cardstock and then the darker part on the light, and I think that worked out really good. I decided to finish off all of my clusters with adhesive backed metallic gems. These are in like a copper color. I'm not sure if you can even tell, but this pack is one of my favorites because it has silver, gold, and copper, and I just find they work so well with so many different things. You could definitely take this layout more masculine, drop the flowers, just do the leaves. These are very kind of masculine embellishment. It'd be good for like couples photos and things too. There you can see those ones popped up and then our gems around them. Now let's put together the last one. This last page is going to be a currently page. So this tile that says currently loving is absolutely perfect. And I am going to do one of my faux pocket pages. So that's basically a design where it looks like pocket pages. Each of your photos is separated by just a little bit of the background showing through, but you have the flexibility of putting it in a regular page protector, and your embellishments can go cross over between the breaks. Doesn't have to stay within like the pocket area. That's one of my favorite things, is having them kind of bridge the gap and break up the grid a little bit. If you guys watch my channel, then you know I love grid layouts, and I actually have a whole playlist of grid layouts. They're just such a versatile design. So all of these have been trimmed down by 1/8 of an inch on like the top and one side, or the bottom and one side. Just two sides need to be trimmed down by 1/8 of an inch, and that gives just enough room for the white in between to show. And the biggest thing with layouts like this, they're super easy, but it's just placing everything initially and making sure that you have the gaps everywhere and that it's kind of even before you start sticking things down. So that's what I'm going to do first, is go all around, make sure I have my spacing the way I want it, and then I'm just going to start sticking everything down. And I've left a place for journaling here. All of these photos are from the end of August. And so my journaling is just going to be about, wrapping up summer, getting ready for school to start. And it's just a really fun way to kind of encapsulate a period of time, whether that's a whole month or a week or whatever it is. So once I have my gaps looking like they're even, or pretty much even, then I can go and just use my tape runner to stick everything down. Here is our assembled layout. I did use some dimensionals to pop up this flower here. These I just put down all flat up there on the title. And then same over here. Since everything's kind of layered together, I left those flat. But I did pop up these hearts here. They were having a little bit of trouble standing out from the background, so I took my Stampin' Up marker in Smoky Slate and just lightly outlined them to give them a little bit of a shadow. Same with this one over here. All of these are flat, and then this one is popped up. Added some more linen thread to the tag. I might go ahead and glue these down. Sometimes I'll do that if it's not laying very nicely. I'll just add a little dot of glue and then press the thread into the glue, and that helps to hold it as I put it into my album. But a super simple design, really easy to replicate, to do a bunch of pages very easily. We have a little bit of pattern paper going on and a little bit of embellishment, but really the photos are the center of this story. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the other layouts that I had already put together. Here's the first one. I used mostly pieces from the kit. I did add in some of those die cut leaves in white. Added a little bit of ripping along the edge for some texture, just to break things up. This pattern was actually quite nice. It sort of looks like a cement floor or something. But there was 2 sheets of it, which made it really nice, so I could do a double page layout really easily. Over here we have a big floral cluster, some more leaves, stickers from the kit, and then these ones back here are all pocket cards. So that was super easy. I just plopped those down and then put my photos on top of them. This one here is actually cut out of a 12 by 12. So it was a white 12 by 12 with this band of color. And I decided instead of using it as a 12 by 12, I just cut it off and put it on to this layout. I love all the colors. Any kind of pattern that has all the colors kind of repeating in sort of a rainbow, I am always a big fan of that. And it's easy to find things to go with it. I'm planning to put my journaling right around here, and then that will finish off this layout. This layout was inspired by my friend Janice Gilhooly. She actually did a whole workshop guide with this kit. So if that's something that interests you, you should go over to her channel. I will link that video down in the description box. I loved this kind of like paint swash background piece. This was all one sheet, and there was only one sheet of it. And I sat there and stared at it for a while, and I just couldn't bring myself to cut into it and wreck it. And so I remembered she had done some layouts with this kit. So I went and looked, and I was like, I love what she did with this piece. So I lifted that idea, and these are photos from our Vancouver trip with the CDT girls. I'm almost done scrapbooking that trip. This was actually the view from the Airbnb house that we rented. We could see all of downtown Vancouver. It was just gorgeous. And Janice brought us all matching fluffy socks from Australia. And this was basically just photos from around the house because I wanted to scrapbook about the house. I am going to do a flip flap because I just didn't have enough space journaling wise. So I'm going to do a flip flap and then put my journaling on there. You can see the embellishments are pretty minimal, but that's all right because it keeps the photos as the focus. So I did another faux pocket page. I do have some of the photos on this one covered up just because there's other people in them, and I don't like to share those publicly on YouTube before asking people if I can use their photos or not. But you can see I have some longer strips over here. There are cut apart sheets in this kit that have long 12-inch strips. And so when I was starting out designing these, I just cut them all up so that they were ready to grab. So that's where these came from. This is from the punch out die cuts. And then we have our title over here, the sticker title. And then I used some of the 2025-2027 in color dots. And these are in the cloud cover color, which matches the color of the leaves and the title. A few of the pocket cards in here, they're 4x6, so I just had to trim them down that little bit. I have more of the dots. And then I have one of the big hearts over here. This was a piece from my stash. And then I'm going to journal over here. That's a nice big space, which is good because I have a story about this. These are all pictures from the pool. Isabella passing her level 1 swimming, and she was so proud of herself. So of course we had to go out for ice cream afterwards, have a little celebration. You can see I didn't do any 3x4s on here. I stuck with 4x6s, and this one came together even faster because I had less pieces to stick down than the last one that I just built with you guys. Pretty simple layout, but I really love how it turned out. The flexibility in this kit is really cool. So there was this canvas print. I'll hold this up so you can see it. Kind of looks like a textured canvas. And there was 2 sheets of that. So I used that as my base pages. And this one, the pattern for this is from the CDT Sketchbook, volume 4, page 12. And I have double matted my photos again. I can't seem to get away from that lately. I just love how it looks. I used the pretty peacock in the background. These pieces I ripped, and these pieces for the title, these were actually like very light, like beige and cream colors. So I inked those up with the Lost Lagoon. And so it doesn't turn out quite Lost Lagoon because it has that creamy undercolor, but it still coordinates good enough. I also worked in some of this new trim. This is the Irregular weave trim, and it's so pretty. It came out with a fall collection, but I think it works perfect for like beach or tropical layouts. This pattern back here is actually a 4x6 card from the kit, and I cut it apart and then used the little pieces around my layout. When I have a pattern I like to have it in more than one place. So I spaced it out in 3 different places, and it actually worked out really good because it is with my clusters. So I have a really strong visual triangle with not only my embellishments, but also with that pattern. I added some sand dollars. These were also from my little bin of scraps. I did a lot of just digging in my scrap bin for these layouts when I needed a little bit of extra embellishment. This is from the Ocean Friends dies. I think this is maybe still in the last chance section. I cut that from Lost Lagoon. And then these ones, these little seashells are from an old Close to My Heart set. And I just inked them up a little bit on the edge with the pretty peacock, so that would all kind of blend in. This is from the Seaside Wishes. I'm not sure if this is still in last chance. There was a stamp set as well as a 3D embossing folder and die. It's a hybrid embossing folder. And after I had stamped it, cut it, embossed it, I also took some stickles and just rubbed it in there. You probably have seen this in some of my other videos. And it just gives us a really pretty little twinkle. Lots of texture going on here with that trim. I do have some space here for some journaling, so I need to do that. And it just worked out so well that I had all these pieces sitting in my scrap bin just waiting to be used. All right, we have one more layout here with white background. I did add some cardstock to stretch this far enough to get all these layouts. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been enough 12 by 12 in this kit to make so many pages. I did utilize more of the pocket cards, 2 there, 2 here, and then die cut and stickers from the kit. These are die cut frames as well from the kit. And this layout is inspired by the CDT Sketchbook Volume 4 and page 7. This was just a fun little lunch date, and we took some really cute photos. This happened just like a couple weeks ago, so it's fun to get some stuff scrapbooked in real time. I will be adding some snippets of journaling over here and over here to this page. And I haven't added any bling yet, but I think some of our little sparkles would really add a little pop to this. There we go, just added a little sparkle in here just to give it a twinkle and a little extra dimension. Now I have a lot of journaling ahead of me because 8 double page layouts, that's a lot of words to put down. But I am so impressed with how much I got out of this kit. I will link everything that I can down below for you. And I hope this gave you lots of fun ideas for your own pages. And I think you would have a lot of fun putting this together. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you again soon with another video.